cooked with pork or some other fatty meat. If you're on a fat-free diet, it's the perfect food because it literally has no fat. But we like fat here at the Trail Boss, so we use quite a bit. You can't get any more organic than the pork we use. We typically go out and take feral hogs, which are a problem in a lot of states. They literally destroy all the natural habitat. So we make it a point when we're out that way, visiting friends and whatnot, to take as many as we can, bring them back, turn them into bacon, sausage, and use them for other delicious recipes. All right, we're gonna prepare our rabbit. You can cook the rabbit whole if you choose, but I actually like to cut them up into 4 pieces. It's just easier when you serve. You don't have to take it apart. You can use a knife, or you can use a cleaver, or in my case, you can use a Grand Fourth hatchet. It seems to work better. Cuts right through the bone. You can actually do the whole, you can clean a whole animal with this little hatchet. Makes quick work of it. Not only chops, it slices. This is one of my favorite parts of the rabbit. It's just like any other animal. This would be the tenderloin. So it's the smallest piece, but it's one of the tenderest and the most tasty. All right, we're finishing him up, cutting him in half. Like I said, my hatchet makes a lot quicker work of this than I can do it by hand. Okay, we've got our pound of bacon in there. It's rendered out a little bit. I'm going to turn the heat up just a touch. And so now we'll add a whole onion. I'm not really a master chef when it comes to knife and other skills. I pretty much rough cut everything that I throw in to the things that I'm preparing. And the other reason I like to rough cut it and make bigger chunks is because I'm a big guy and I like to feel like I'm eating something. So you probably won't see me doing any Emeril Lagasse knife skills. I just hack away at everything I throw in the pot. All right, so we've got our bacon, 1 onion. We'll add a couple cloves of garlic. Again, when I add garlic, I rough cut it. And the reason I do that is some people don't like it or don't like to get pieces of it in their mouth. So if they get it in their serving, they can actually remove it. But you still get the same flavor in the dish. Give that a quick stir. All right, as soon as our vegetables that we've thrown in have become translucent, we want to remove those from the pan. And by the way, if you've ever worked with cast iron, it's not only does it get really hot and evenly heat, it's actually kind of heavy. So if you don't have a lot of upper body strength, you'll probably want to have somebody help you do this. We're going to return our pan to the heat, turn it up just a little bit, medium high, and we'll brown off our pieces of rabbit. All right, now this is a braised dish, which means that we're going to slow cook it for a long period of time, about 2 hours, to make sure that the rabbit gets extremely tender. The Rabbit has a tendency to be a little on the tough side, so the longer you cook it, the better it is. The rabbit itself tastes phenomenal in braised dishes, so that's typically how I like to eat it. Our rabbit is browning pretty nicely on one side. We're going to flip it over and brown it on the other. You might have noticed that I didn't salt the meat before I put it in to brown it off. One of the reasons for that is this is a braised dish and I don't like it to get too salty. So after I flipped it, I added a little salt and pepper. I'll add in the other ingredients, and then just before I get ready to serve it, I'll season it again, because the last ingredient that we add is heavy cream, so it's going to take a lot of the salt flavor out of it, and it's best to season it right before you serve it. Okay, I'm going to add our bacon and vegetables back into the pot, put them over the top of the meat. Okay, the next thing we're going to add is 1 cup of chicken broth. Deglaze the pan with that. And a cup of Trail Boss white wine. One of the things my producer Chuck will tell you is that Sylvia, his beautiful wife, loves the Trail Boss wine. We just went outside and picked some fresh herbs, sage and thyme. We tied those together. The French refer to this as a bouquet garni. The reason that you tie them together and put them in like this is so that you can remove them before you serve the dish, so somebody doesn't get a mouthful of stalk or a stick in their mouth when they're trying to eat this wonderful food. So we throw that in. The last ingredient for now is our mushrooms. We're going to dump those in. I like to leave them whole. We cleaned these earlier. As I said, I prefer to have dishes that taste and look really meaty. So we're going to leave those in whole. Cover the pot and let that cook for about 2 hours. If you want to cook anything in the Dutch oven a little faster, Camp Chef makes this little Dutch oven dome. It's really cool. And what it does is it turns any burner into an oven. You place this over the top, and what it causes is it kind of turns your Dutch oven into a convection oven. And so the heat circulates around the pot and keeps everything, keeps the heat nice and even, and it cooks a lot faster. I don't know about you, but one of the things that always happens to me is when I'm really limited on having food in the house, I haven't had a chance to go shopping, to make them something very quickly, because they come in, they tell me they're starving. I am the trail boss, and I usually have lots of food available. So this is a dish or an hors d'oeuvre that you can make that's very filling, that people really enjoy, that all you need is 3 ingredients. 1 is a stale piece of bread. 2, a can of cannelli beans. 3, cloves of garlic or the minced garlic that you buy at the store. It takes literally moments to prepare. You cut up a piece of the bread. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's fairly stale. Okay, I've got my bread chunks. I'm going to throw them into the food processor. Give them a little whip. Add my beans. A couple cloves of garlic. By the way, I lied. 4 ingredients: olive oil. About a 1/4 cup. I use a really high grade of olive oil, and I like the flavor of it, so I use probably more than you need to. Turn it on. Okay, and if you have this problem, which most of the time you do, when you're trying to smooth it out, is just add like a tablespoon of water. Okay, once you're finished, you're going to get a nice creamy paste to put on crackers, bread, whatever you have laying around the pantry. Take this out of our processor, put it on a plate with your crackers or whatever you're going to serve it with. You can even give it another little drizzle of olive oil. A little salt, and again, the cannelli beans come with salt, so you want to be careful with the amount that you use. A little black pepper, and it is ready to consume. In keeping with our economical theme, a lot of times all of us go into our vegetable drawer and we find something that looks kind of like this. This lettuce wouldn't make a very delicious salad, or I should say it wouldn't make a very delicious fresh salad, but it makes an excellent cooked salad. A lot of people don't realize that in many countries around the world that they don't eat lettuce raw, they actually cook it. So I'm going to make a really quick wilted lettuce salad for you. It's absolutely delicious, and most people that you serve it to won't even know that they're eating lettuce. So we start off with a little olive oil in the pan. Cut our lettuce into shreds. Put it in the pan with the olive oil. Add a little salt. And put on a lid for a few minutes. Okay. I gotta check this. This is a real cooking show. We're really cooking. Okay. All right, we've let the lettuce wilt for a couple of seconds. So we're going to finish it off. I minced a little bit of garlic earlier to save time. I'm going to take about a tablespoon, maybe a little more. Throw it in. We salted it before we put it in the pan. We're going to add a little pepper. And like I said, this is very, very high quality olive oil. I love the taste. So I'm going to add just a little more, not because we need it, but because I like the taste of it. We're just going to mix it and put it in the bowl. That's all there is to it. Put it in the serving bowl. And let the crew consume it. One of the quickest and easiest desserts I know how to make is from the pantry. I usually have some kind of cookie around. These are just inexpensive almond cookie. I take those, crush one up in the bottom of a little tin that we made out of aluminum foil by pushing them out down into a glass. And basically it's a layered dessert. We do the cookies. And by the way, this is a real cooking show. Everything that we make is consumed by somebody. So, you know, we don't skip on any of the ingredients or, you know, do things to make them look good. They have to taste good or there's mutiny with the crew. So we put a couple tablespoons of brown sugar on top of the cookie. Get a good high quality butter. if that's an actual measuring amount. On top of that, add a little bit of Trail Boss canned peaches. And usually what I do is I start off with putting 3 in each one. And if I have leftovers, I divide the rest of those up. And of course, doesn't want to cooperate. Okay. Then I take a little bit of the juice, and I pour it into each cup. Not a whole lot, just enough to give it some moisture. All right, now we're going to pop this into a 400-degree oven for about 5 minutes. I've got some mascarpone cheese in a bowl that I've allowed to warm up a little bit. And the reason I did that is I'm going to add a little bit of honey to it. We have some of the best local honey in the world here. And it's easier to mix if the cheese is a little warm. The honey doesn't have a tendency to congeal in there in lumps. And I've put about maybe 2 tablespoons in. Then I'm just going to take my whisk and mix it all together. All right. We give that a little whip. Make sure it's good and mixed up. We take a little pinch of salt, put in the mix to enhance the flavor. Sometimes people will add things like orange liqueurs. This is an orange liqueur that I make out of orange peels. I'm going to forego that today since there's a member of the crew who doesn't drink and we don't want to tempt him. So when our timer goes off, we'll take our dessert out and top it with our mascarpone cheese and honey and give it a sample. Okay, our timer just went off. We're going to pull these out of the oven and get this out of the way. All right, remember, cast iron is really, really, really hot and it's heavy. I've been dealing with it for a number of years, but if you grab a hold of this with your bare hand, I guarantee it's going to leave a mark. All right, now that they've come out of the oven, I'm going to take a spoon and put a little dollop of our mascarpone cheese on each one. And dessert is served. All right, we finished topping our desserts. We're going to plate them up here in a second, and everybody gets their own individual little dessert. All right, our rabbit's been cooking all day. We're ready to serve it up. We made some large egg noodles. We'll get rid of our bouquet garni because nobody wants to eat sticks. Take our pieces of rabbit out. On top of the noodles. This meat is just completely fallen apart. Now that I've got our rabbit in the bowl, I'm going to finish our sauce. I'm going to put a little butter, a couple tablespoons full. Again, I never really measure, I just kind of eyeball it. Throw it in, a little heavy cream into the pot. Whisk it in. And there's more than enough residual heat to make it work. We're going to give it a quick taste to see if we need to add any salt. Nope. It's just about perfect. Like I said, if we'd have used too much salt on the meat, a lot of people, including myself, would have found it way too salty. We're going to take this delicious gravy with these mushrooms and thick pieces of bacon. Spoon that over our rabbit and our noodles. And serve it with our hearth baked bread that we made on the grill, which will be another episode. Thanks for watching, and God willing, we'll see you on the trail. We're going to prepare the rabbit that we harvested earlier this hunting season, and because wild game is so lean, typically it's cooked with pork or some other fatty meat. If you're on a fat-free diet, it's the perfect food because it literally has no fat. But we like fat here at the Trail Boss, so we use quite a bit. You can't get any more organic than the pork we use. We typically go out and take feral hogs, which are a problem in a lot of states. They literally destroy all the natural habitat. So we make it a point when we're out that way, visiting friends and whatnot, to take as many as we can, bring them back, turn them into bacon, sausage, and use them for other delicious recipes. All right, we're going to